I'm the Director of Regional Engagement for an organization called the Fund for Our Economic Future. The fund is a collaboration of philanthropy and other grant makers in Northeast Ohio that collectively work on economic issues, and their mission is to advance a growing opportunity-rich economy for the people of Northeast Ohio. And when you're working in the economy, by definition, you're working in complex systems, so you better figure out a framework for thinking and planning and doing inside that complex system and multiple systems of the economy. And so, you know, over time, we've used elements of the collective impact framework. I would say we used it before we had the words. Great grant making alone is insufficient to achieve the change you want to achieve in the communities that we care about. So just accepting that and then say, okay, so what more can we do? And there's a big difference, as has been pointed out through the collective impact framework, between collaboration and collaboration for collective impact. So doing more is about shifting from just convening to convening with a very intentional purpose and a framework and a set of outcomes that you're targeting from that convening. And so that is a lot more than what we might have been doing in the, quote, early days of this work. I can boil down the mindset shift to one example. So one of the backbone organizations that we work with is struggling with working with funders who want them to play the role of a backbone, but ask them to fill out a grant form that is designed for transactional grantees, programmatic grantees. This leader of the backbone said, I can't even fill out the form. I don't run any programs. I facilitate and coordinate collective impact. Funders first need to change their forms. It's a reflection of the mindset shift. It is that basic a shift. So my simplification of the role of philanthropy in achieving change is there's two kinds of grants that philanthropy makes. They do programmatic transactional grants that should be excellent and produce outstanding results. And then they do systems change grants. And systems change grants are grants that reflect the collective impact framework. They're completely different kinds of grants. They need different forms. They need different program officers. They need different mindsets. And if we can encourage funders to recognize the difference between the two, it's critically important. And the reason I'm interested in philanthropy's role in collective impact is because of all of the stakeholders, government funders, private sector funders, nonprofits, community leaders, civic activists, foundations, philanthropy has the greatest freedom to change their behavior and support these efforts. Others have limitations, barriers, boundaries that constrain them. Philanthropy has incredible freedom. Ironically, they also have the least incentive to change. You know, philanthropy, because of that freedom, they can do within reason what they are comfortable doing. So I'm hoping that I personally can encourage more philanthropists to put more of their energy into the systems change side of grant making so that they can improve their programmatic outcomes as well. Keeping people focused on the value proposition is the best way to keep people at the table. What is in this for them? It's easy to want to argue for collective impact because it's the right thing to do. It makes sense on all sorts of levels. But if the value proposition isn't clear to each individual stakeholder, they'll get fatigued fairly quickly. So identifying the clear value proposition for each stakeholder and reminding them of it, keeping it in front of them and delivering on it, most importantly. If they don't see value proposition for the hard work that is collective impact, they're not going to do it because it is very hard work. In our community, I'm hoping we see an increased recognition of the value of this approach to achieve the kinds of change that we want in our community. I don't think we can afford to live in a community where organizations are able to declare programmatic success and we don't see the change we want in our community. That has to change. And the only way you get to the level of change we want is through working within a complex system, embracing the complexity of it, and adjusting to it. So ideally, I'd like to see this continue to build and continue to spread, and for us to get better at it, we have to stay rigorous with it and not get too self-congratulatory. Again, this is really hard work that if we don't honor how hard the work is, we will crash against the rocks of hype and self-congratulation.